A sunset provision is a provision in a piece of legislation that sets a time limit. It says that this act will be in effect for 5 years, for example, and at the end of 5 years the legislature must review the implementation of this act and decide whether it wishes to renew it or not. And therefore it is built into the act that it will expire at a given time and be reconsidered, as opposed to an act that simply puts provisions on the books in permanence. The government believes that the threat of terrorism is going to be with us for quite some time to come, and therefore that there's no need to put in a sunset provision. And otherwise, I've not done a detailed study of why some governments would put in the sunset provisions and others would not, but I think it would be perhaps the depth of crisis, the sense of emergency under which the measures are taken, and of course just the willingness of a particular legislature to enact such measures. Typically legislatures have at least one basic choice, and that is, do they enact emergency legislation that will then expire, or do they make constitutional changes? And which is worse in terms of democratic freedoms? And many people argue that it might be better to be explicit about taking emergency measures and saying, but they will expire when the emergency ends. Of course, you will know that the United States government, I believe, has been in a state of emergency since World War II. I'm not sure about that. We would have to check the books, but there's no guarantee that even if you treat it as an emergency provision that it will expire. But that's sort of a dilemma for a democratic government as to which way to go.